There are numbers in this city who live by writing new books, and yet there are thousands of volumes in every large library unread and forgotten. This, upon my arrival, was one of those contradictions which I was unable to account for. Is it possible, said I, that there should be any demand for new books before those already published are read? Can there be so many employed in producing a commodity with which the market is already overstocked, and with goods also better than any of modern manufacture? What at first view appeared an inconsistence is a proof at once of this people's wisdom and refinement. Even allowing the works of their ancestors better written than theirs, yet those of the moderns acquire a real value by being marked with the impression of the times. Antiquity has been in the possession of others. The present is our own. Let us first, therefore, learn to know what belongs to ourselves, and then, if we have leisure, cast our reflections back to the reigns of Shonu, who governed 20,000 years before the creation of the moon. The volumes of antiquity, like medals, may very well serve to amuse the curious, but the works of the moderns, like the current coin of a kingdom, are much better for immediate use. The former are often prized above their intrinsic value, and kept with care. The latter seldom pass for more than they are worth, and are often subject to the merciless hands of sweating critics and slipping compilers. The works of antiquity were ever praised, those of the moderns read. The treasures of our ancestors have our esteem, and we boast the passion. Those of contemporary genius engage our heart, although we blush to own it. The visits we pay the former resemble those we pay the great. The ceremony is troublesome, and yet such as we would not choose to forego. Our acquaintance with modern books is like sitting with a friend. Our pride is not flattered in the interview, but it gives more internal satisfaction. In proportion as society refines, new books must ever become more necessary. Savage rusticity is reclaimed by oral admonition alone, but the elegant excesses of refinement are best corrected by the still voice of a studious inquiry. In a polite age, almost every person becomes a reader, and receives more instruction from the press than the pulpit. The preaching bonds may instruct the illiterate peasant, but nothing less than the insinuating address of a fine writer can win its way to a heart already relaxed to all the effeminacy of refinement. Books are necessary to correct the vices of the polite. But those vices are ever changing, and the antidote should be changed accordingly, should still be new. Instead, therefore, of thinking of the number of new publications here too great, I could wish it still greater, as they are the most useful instruments of reformation. Every country must be instructed, either by writers or preachers, but as the number of readers increases, the number of hearers is proportionally diminished. The writer becomes more useful, and the preaching bonds less necessary. Instead, therefore, of complaining that writers are overpaid, when their work procures them a bare subsistence, I should imagine it the duty of a state not only to encourage their numbers, but their industry. A bonze is rewarded with immense riches for instructing only a few, even the most ignorant of people, and sure the poor scholar should not beg his bread, who is capable of instructing 1,000,000. Of all rewards, I grant, the most pleasing to a man of real merit is fame, but a polite age, of all times, is that in which scarcely any share of merit can acquire it. What numbers of fine writers in the latter empire of Rome, when refinement was carried to the highest pitch, have missed that fame and immortality which they had fondly arrogated to themselves. How many Greek authors, who wrote at that period when Constantinople was the refined mistress of the empire, now rest, either not printed or not read, in the libraries of Europe? Those who came first, while either state, as yet, was barbarous, carried all the reputations away. Authors, as the age refined, became more numerous, and their numbers destroyed their fame. It is but natural, therefore, for the writer, when conscious that his works will not produce him fame hereafter, to endeavour to make them turn out to his temporal interest here. Whatever be the motives which induce men to write, whether avarice or fame, the country becomes most wise and happy in which they most serve for instructors. The countries where sacerdotal instruction alone is permitted remain in ignorance, superstition, and hopeless slavery. In England, where there are as many new books published as in all the rest of Europe together, a spirit of freedom and reason reigns among the people. They have been often known to act like fools. They are generally found to think like men. The only danger that attends a multiplicity of publications is that some of them may be calculated to injure rather than benefit society. But where writers are numerous, they also serve as a check upon each other, and perhaps a literary inquisition is the most terrible punishment that can be conceived to a literary transgressor. But to do the English justice, there are but few offenders of this kind. Their publications in general aim at mending either the heart or improving the common weal. The dullest writer talks of virtue and liberty and benevolence with esteem, tells his true story filled with good and wholesome advice, warns against slavery, bribery, or the bite of a mad dog, and dresses up his little useful magazine of knowledge and entertainment, at least with a good intention. The dunces of France, on the other hand, who have less encouragement, are more vicious. Tender hearts, languishing eyes, Leonora in love at 13, ecstatic transports, stolen blisses, are the frivolous subjects of their frivolous memoir. In England, if a bawdy blockhead thus breaks in on the community, he sets his whole fraternity in a roar, nor can he escape, even though he should fly to nobility for shelter. Thus even dunces, my friends, may make themselves useful. But there are others whom nature has blessed with talents above the rest of mankind, men capable of thinking with precision, and impressing their thoughts with rapidity, beings who diffuse those regards upon mankind which others contract and settle upon themselves. These deserve every honor from that community, of which they are more peculiarly the children. To such I would give my heart, since to them I am indebted for its humanity. Adieu.